The thermostat just kicked in, or the fan just kicked in. I don't know if you can hear it. I haven't been on it very long, but the fan just kicked in while I'm sitting here at the light.
Hey everybody, it's Dick here. Today I'm riding the new 2019 Suzuki Katana. It is 148 brake horsepower, inline 4 engine based on the GSX-S 1000 engine that dates back to 2005. It has retro design cues from its 1981 predecessor. It has katana slashes and Japanese angles. It's got whatever. What else can I say about it? It is a lightning bolt, silver bullet, mean Japanese samurai sword of a motorcycle, and I've been dying to try it since I first saw it at the London Motorcycle Show at the Excel Centre earlier in the year. The fine gentlemen of BMG Scooters and Richmond Suzuki in London have lent me the bike for the day, and I have spent a considerable amount of time oogling over it, as well as a fair amount of time riding it and being abused by it. It's like a sexy dominatrix that reminds you of how insignificant you are in the world. It's liquid cooled, has 3 traction control modes, a slipper clutch, LED lights, ABS, fully adjustable suspension, minimal cockpit, usable controls, full LCD dash and display that has lots of information on it. Don't be seduced by that riser bar. This is a sport bike. It is not a sport tourer by any stretch of the imagination. The key is hidden in that nice yoke behind the handlebars, which is a nice feature for us Londoners who've had our keys attempted to be stolen. The sharp angles and intersecting planes and the aggressive lines on this bike are attractive and gives it the sense that it's going fast while standing still. Up under that panel hidden under the taillight, you will find connections and mounting positions for the rear indicators and a tail tidy to facilitate removing the stock rear hugger that comes as standard. As usual, I'm not comprehensive on the specs of any of the bikes I ride. You can check that out online or at the manufacturer's site, but enough talking about it, let's ride this mother.
Oh man, 4-cylinder baby. I think this might be the first leader bike that I've reviewed on my channel. I don't ride a lot of these. I have ridden them, but I always feel like they're too much power for me. I wouldn't have tried this bike if it didn't look so good. But it's definitely a lot of bike. You can feel a lot of bike. This clutch is really heavy. It takes a lot for me to say that. I do like inline 4s, and a lot of people say inline 4s aren't good around the city, and I do like kind of 600 or midweight inline 4s because they are manageable in the mid-range. This not so much. This is raring to go. It does not like being reined in, I can tell. I'm trying to find the quickest route to a highway because these horses are chomping at the bit. It's not nearly as comfortable as I wished it would be, but look at this balance. Christ almighty. And this engine is legendary. This is essentially a GSX-S with a body kit. It's 900 pounds more expensive than the GSX-F 1000. And arguably the F version of this bike is more attractive. In a way. Definitely more usable. The fairings are more usable. There's no fairing on this thing. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's just, there's a very specific thing that this bike is a performance bike. It's a stylized performance bike. Man, these levers are heavy. I'm going to be tired after this ride. I'm not that confident filtering on it all that much. The handlebars are really wide. There's that typical Suzuki arch in the handlebars to come up to you because the bikes are all really low. The bike, just wants to be fed gasoline. That display has a lot going on. I think it has too much going on. It's a very busy display that it's hard for me to differentiate what information is pertinent to me at any one time. It is very readable for what it is. I mean, it is a gray day, so I don't know what it's like in the sun, but it is very readable, but there's so much to read, and I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, I don't need to know my battery voltage while I'm riding the bike. There's a big display, lots of information, well readable, but I'd say it's a bit overkill. I'm a little uneasy coming out to filter. One, because the clutch is not easy to pull. It's not an easy pull clutch. It's not forgiving. I can't feather it all that well. The other thing is this small front wheel that they kind of cracked the code on small front wheels back in the late 80s for performance bikes. And this small front wheel is very twitchy. You could see very little input is needed for me to make this thing. I mean, counter steering is just psychic. It's psychic counter steering. The palms of my hands and my wrists are already tired. I've been on the bike 10 minutes. Ooh, wing mirrors are really wide. It's not a filter. Oh, and that clutch, Jesus. It's just, you can see, look, just pulling. It's that assist clutch. But it's heavier than the SV. A lot heavier than the SV. And it's not as helpful. I don't think you need this kind of assist on a bike this high performance. Oh. There's the highway, everyone. This is where this bike wants to go. It's getting excited. Ooh, there's heat coming off the engine right on my right leg. It's just breathing fire. Lots of heat coming off this bike already. So all of this is plastic. It's very sculptural. The Katana slash is put into it. It's part of the design features. There's some really nice design features to this bike. It's very good looking. It's one of those bikes that looks fast standing still. It is fast when you ride it. So it's not an empty promise, kind of like some bikes. Ooh, my right hand is numb already. There's not really noticeable vibrations, but I think my right hand is numb or asleep because it's resting all my weight on it. It's actually quite stable, but it is twitchy. And I say, oh, here's the highway, but yeah, it's a controlled speed zone. It's 40 miles an hour and it's congested, but it feels a little more comfortable up here. It felt claustrophobic down there in town. I gotta say, I do love the power distribution of an inline 4 just because it's all about power, but it felt caged in down there in town. There are 3 traction control settings and an off position. I'm in 2, which is kind of your everyday riding. 1 apparently has a lot of input, and every little minor bump and undulation activates the traction control. The reason I've just mentioned the traction control because I went over one of these little, I don't know if you can see the seams in the highway as we go by. Here comes one. The seam. I went over one of those seams and I could feel the traction control engage, and that was surprising. And this is the regular road setting. 3, I think, is performance, and off is, what's the point of having traction control? But there are no other modes or riding modes on the bike, which I'm kind of refreshed by. I don't know why. Wind is even behind this big truck. I mean, I'm only going 40-odd miles an hour, but wind is way up here over my head. It looks naked, but that long beak and that very minor little lip of a windshield there does a considerable amount. There we go. Oh my God. Huh, interesting. I was in 6th gear there. 4,000 RPM, and it sounds like it's screaming. What a lovely sound a 4-cylinder has. 6th gear, 70 miles an hour. Christ almighty, I didn't even blink. I went from 40 to 60 in an instant. Look at this, watch. So I'm down to 49, 45, watch. 60 in 6th gear. I'm gonna drop to 5th gear. 50 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour. Holy Jesus Christ, at 5,000 RPM, this thing comes alive. Hey, there's some motorcycle cops. Oh my gosh. What the? Look at that. Holy shit. Oh my God. Holy crap. That is 5,000 RPM is a whole other life. It's a life cycle to this bike. Oh my God. So 4,000 RPM, a nice easy grade. 5,000 RPMs, you can tell something's happening. What the fuck? That is just otherworldly. This bike is a menace. This is just ridiculous. I think we learned very quickly where this thing lives. It lives in 6th gear between 5,000 and 11,000 RPM. But at 6,000 RPMs, you're already going the ton. This is not an everyday bike, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very specific, eyes to the back of your skull, balls in your throat motorcycle. There's no wind. There's no wind here, guys. It's just a vacuum. I have no wind. There's no wind resistance that says you're going fast, which is very dangerous because your body is not sending the right signals. They just got a looky-loo in that car there. This is definitely a unique-looking bike, and it's going to catch a lot of interest and attention, but they're not going to be able to see you. No wind. What is going on here? This is insane. Little bit of turbulence around the shoulders. This thing is a fighter jet, man. It's a bucking Bronco. Holy crap. This thing is a license killer. Sorry to say, guys. If you get one of these, you're getting points on your license. This is a master class in aerodynamics. Okay, let's get a little analytical now with it because my adrenaline is ebbing. I said there isn't a lot of vibration, and there isn't. There's a little bit of a twinge in the handlebars, but not uncomfortable. There is a little bit of a vibration in the foot pegs, but again, I think it matches that level of vibration in the, look at that. It's just, it's silky. Jesus, look, you don't even have to, you have to think about it. It's just reading my mind, but it's only at speed that it's doing that. It's a bit clunky at the slow speeds. It's just all power, isn't it? It's just pure power. It's just a silver streak. It's a blur. So back to vibrations. Noticeable, but not uncomfortable vibrations in the handlebars and the foot pegs. However, I'm getting a lot of vibration, and I'm not overstating it, along my taint. I'm getting a prostate massage right now from this Japanese masseuse. It is a lot of vibration right up in my nifkin there. The bike is narrow where it needs to be, so I'm able to really clutch it with my thighs, but it's like a death grip clutch. It's like the scene in Blade Runner when the replicant with the snake wraps her thighs around. Or maybe it's Daryl Hannah. I don't know. One of the replicants wraps her thighs around Harrison Ford's face and does a death grip. That's how I'm riding this thing. The positioning of the foot pegs means that I have to put my foot forward a little bit, which negates the low seat height. It feels wide and it feels heavy, so I'm not confident filtering on this thing. That assisted clutch is very heavy. Oh man, I'm getting a workout. So just give you a quick look down at my feet, just to get an idea of height. Okay. I'm on the bike half an hour now, and I feel like I need a break. And it's my hands, and really down there, the boys, the glutes, and the balls, the hocks, my ham hocks, my loins are burning. It's fun, but it's a lot of work. And I usually find that most 1,000cc 1 liter motorcycles are a lot of work. They're fun, but they feel like a workout afterwards. You feel kind of battered. And I have the sense that I'm going to feel a bit battered after this. I do not need this motorcycle. I would definitely own it as part of a fleet if I had a garage, but I wonder how often I'd ride it. I think it would be like a piece of jewelry where I'd bring it out on special occasions, ride-ups, or if I wanted to show it off. And I think I'd get more satisfaction sitting out in my garage and looking at it than I would in riding it frequently. I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm definitely enjoying riding it, don't get me wrong. There's nothing to fault about this performance of this motorcycle. You can, however, fault the comfort and the ease of use, but there's nothing to fault about performance. This indicator canceller needs to really be pushed in because I have a kind of OCD about turning off my indicators, and I've pushed that button and I still look down occasionally and see that my indicator's still on. So you really got a wrench on that thing. This bike is dangerous because, I mean, you don't know it, but you keep accelerating and accelerating and accelerating, and then you miss the speed camera. This bike is pure acceleration. But I'm fascinated by this. Again, Suzuki has figured out, I think I had the same phenomenon with this wind vacuum on the SV650. I mean, it's not that important on a 650 twin, although it's welcome when you're out on the highway. This thing, though, this is a revelation because you're going potentially 100 miles an hour, and you're not getting any wind turbulence on a visually naked bike. It's a very specific machine, but if you're looking for a machine that's this specific and you have an iron butt, ooh, right there, 5,800 RPMs, 5th gear, 64 miles an hour. I'm getting a happy ending. Oh, if I spread my knees a little and rock forward, it brings the balls into play too. Ha! Maybe that's where the extra 900 quid goes. Damn it! Another speed camera, and you're just accelerating. I am kind of glad that this bike is so monstrous that it's outside of my riding style, because since I've seen it, it's been on my top 3. It's been on my short list for a bike to buy. I think at 11.3, I was talking with a guy I met last night about this bike, and he said, you take your wife away for the weekend, it's 1,500 quid easy. So I said, if this bike was 9,500 pounds, it would be very easy to buy. But at 11.3 or 11.5 or whatever it is, it goes into another kind of tax bracket for me. It makes it a little harder to justify. And I can see LED lights and the styling. And we were looking at the rear sets, the rear foot pegs for the passenger, and they're really sculptural. And we were looking at the rear swing arm, and it's a really sculptural swing arm, and it's a nice looking bike. And I thought, okay, the money went into the extra design features, but then I looked at the GSX-S 1000F, I think, whatever the fairinged version is of this engine, and it shares a frame, it shares a swing arm, it shares those sculptural rear sets. So it's your GSX-R 1000 or GSX-S 1000. It's the same bike, but with this kind of retro body kit. So is it 900 quid worth of body kit when the other one's really handsome? But if the other one performs like this one, I don't know why you'd have either. Unless you're doing long, fast miles on the Autobahn, I can't imagine the requirements of this bike. I can't imagine the necessity of this bike. It's not a commuting bike. It's not a city. It does not like to be at this 40 mile an hour controlled speed zone. And my ass hurts so much. Oh my God! I don't know if you see this guy in the cab over here, though. He's been watching this bike, so it definitely is a looker. Definitely is a looker. But I'm 45 minutes into my ride, and I have to be honest, I'm on my way back to the shop because I'm a bit battered and beaten by it, and my hand is completely asleep. There's a lot of people, especially in the United States, there's a lot of people who go from no license and their first bike is 1,000 cc's. Because America has this hang-up about size. It's the little dick complex. And I say that as a little dicked American, so keep your comments to yourselves. But they go from no license to 1,000 cc's. And so this is very, well, I stalled it. So maybe it is an assisted clutch. So look. It's not as assisted as the SV650. But yeah, there's a speed camera. And this thing is just like, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's 3,000 RPMs, 3,200 RPMs, third gear, 35 miles an hour. And this thing is just, it's pissed off at me. It's like a fussy baby. Let go of my hand. Just let me go. But there's a whole universe of bikes that aren't 1,000 cc's that are so much more usable and fun. This thing, I think, will sell really well to midlife crisis Americans with long, straight roads, or even some nice twisty roads that don't have a speed limit cameras. Whoa, Jesus Christ. I just go around a roundabout, dragging my knee. I can't see this bike doing well in the UK. I'm very tired. I gotta give it a break. I can't imagine what roads these would do well in the UK. Oh my God. That was too easy. I can't fit through there. What the fuck? This bike is big. This bike is wide. I'm in the wrong lane, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta get over. It's like riding a gorilla through a china shop. Can I squeeze through there? Every other bike I've owned could squeeze through there. And I could. Oh, steering radius is shit. Jesus Christ. Nope, I can't get through there. Guess these guys creep up a little bit, dude. Once I get past this. That indicator is pretty... Oh, I'm locked out. There's no turning radius. And those wide, low indicators, if I owned this bike, I would lose those in the first week. Filtering on a leader bike. Filtering on a Katana. And these Suzuki side view mirrors, you just creep in there. Oh, locked out very early on this turning radius. Am I still recording? Yep. Good. Don't want you guys to miss this. It's like a ballerina, though. If it has the room and the momentum, this thing only likes to perform at speed. When you're going at speed, this thing is elegant. When it's narrow and slow, it's petulant. 50 minutes on the bike, and I am beat. I need a nap. Normally when I go quiet during my videos, it's because I'm really enjoying the ride. I think I've gone quiet because I'm exhausted. Stand up a little, get some blood back into my ass. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous bike, but it's kind of like a dominatrix. That's what it is. It's a motorcycle version of a dominatrix. You just paying to be abused, and then next week you go back for more. Oh my God. Oh. So I've been on the bike about an hour. I had a full tank of fuel, and now I've gone down 2 bars. I don't know what that means in terms of volume, but it is 1,000 cc, so it's gonna guzzle gas, especially if you're raking it over the coals like I was on the highway. Whenever you test ride a bike, it's always good to ride it for a little bit, then step off it for a moment, and then get back on. There's kind of a bit of a reset button in your head. You get a little muscle memory, and it's less unique, it's less new, it becomes a little more familiar, and you get a better reading on how you actually like the bike and how you're sitting on it. I want to take your test on this thing. I do appreciate the dealers who let you take bikes for a ride. This is a bike from BMG Richmond in London. If you find a dealer who's insistent on you not taking a bike for a ride, find a dealer that will. And if you're in the United States, that's very difficult, so try and get to some demo days to ride a bike, because this would have been a bike that I would have purchased without riding it. I'm just so taken with the looks of it and the design of it. But after riding it, I know that this is not a bike for me. And I would have been stuck with an 11,000 pound bike that I'd like to look at but would never ride. And I would have been stuck with an 11,000 pound mistake because I wouldn't ride it. I wouldn't ride it. That's what I mean by a mistake. So I do really appreciate the dealers, especially BMG Richmond, for letting me take bikes that I'm considering for purchase out for a ride, because you have to be informed, and it has to be a bike you can live with and that is spirited and meets your needs as a rider. I mean, this bike is definitely spirited, but it exceeds my needs. This is way more bike than someone living in London needs. Actually, I'd say someone living in the entire United Kingdom. But there are people who ride leader bikes, so if you're in the market for a leader bike, I would definitely recommend trying this one out. It does not like to filter. But it sings such a lovely tune. Time for my nap. Yeah, they're gonna roll it right in. This one's coming out soon. This one's coming out soon. I'm a priority.
If you like that video and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.